Hey there, my name's Nicole and I'm 29 years old. I just adopted my foster niece and I want to tell you how that happened. But before that, I need to introduce you to my husband, Jake. Jake and I are high school sweethearts. We met in our junior year and started dating in our senior year. We survived a long-distance relationship when we both had to move to different states for college, and we ended up coming back to our hometown after we graduated. We moved in together and quickly found good jobs in our respective fields. We focused on our careers for another 2 years before deciding it was time for us to get married. We got married about a year after we got engaged. It was truly one of the best days of my life. Now, along with relationships come interacting with each other's families. For the most part, I got along fairly well with Jake's family. The only person I had a slight issue with was Jake's sister, Tess. Tess was 6 years older than us and tended to be volatile, jealous. She hated me at the beginning because I became the new topic of discussion in Jake's household, considering I was his first girlfriend. She also did not like the fact that Jake got into a relationship before her, and she lashed out at me for it. Jake, of course, always stood up for me whenever he saw her treat me badly, but that only encouraged her to taunt me behind his back. I just let her be because I hoped that as time passed she'd become better, and thankfully she did. After we moved back into town, Tess suddenly became a lot friendlier towards me. I was very suspicious of her new attitude towards me, but I was happy to get along with it because that was better than her constantly talking down to me. There were only 2 instances where she blew up at Jake and me after that. The first was when we got engaged. By this time, Tess had a boyfriend, but her relationship was in shambles. She had been dating her boyfriend for 4 years, and even though she kept hinting at him for an engagement, he never seemed to care. So finding out that we got engaged made her go a little crazy. She went back to being her mean self and even threatened to ruin my wedding if I had it before she got married. Jake did not let that happen, of course, and told her to stop projecting her own relationship issues onto us. She didn't stop, but after we threatened to uninvite her from their wedding, she caved and began treating us nicely. The second time she went ballistic was 2 years after we got married. I announced that I was pregnant. Few things to know here. Tess's big dream from the start was to have children. She dreamed of being a stay-at-home mother and raising kids, but that could not happen because her relationship, the one I just mentioned, ended shortly after Jake and I got married, and she struggled to find another partner. As for me getting pregnant, Jake and I had been planning to have kids for a long time, and we were finally at a point where we were stable enough to have a child. Needless to say, Tess lost her mind. I had to cut her off for the entirety of my pregnancy because of all the stress she was causing me. She quickly realized that if she kept her behavior up, she would never get to see our child, so she eventually stopped. After our child was born, Tess came over more frequently. The only reason I didn't mind was because she would come over to see the baby, and that would give me time to take a shower and a quick nap. About 2 years after we had our child, Tess invited us over to her place for dinner because she had something big to tell us. So, I have something to announce to the both of you. Is that the reason for this dinner? Yes. You two are the only family I have here, and I wanted to have at least one big reveal here. Well, consider me sitting at the edge of my seat. Tell us already. So, you know how I have always wanted to have kids? Yeah. Well, I was checking my accounts and I realized that I had more than enough to qualify for being a foster parent. Does that mean I applied and I got approved? It'll be another 2 to 3 weeks before a foster child moves in here. But yes, I'm going to be a mother. Are you sure about this decision, Tess? Of course. Why do both of you not look happy? We mean this in the nicest way, Tess, but you don't really seem stable enough to raise a child. What's that supposed to mean? Did you just not hear me tell you that I'm financially sound enough for that? Besides, I will still get funds to take care of the child. Sure, but you're very volatile. The smallest things make you really angry, and if there's one thing you should have when you have kids is patience. Are you saying that I'm going to be a bad parent? How dare you? Tess, we're not saying that you'll be a bad parent, but you could be. Maybe you should put the whole thing on hold and get therapy for your anger issues. You have some audacity to ruin my good news like this. Tess, you need to calm down. We're just trying to talk to you about our concerns. Yes, and that does not mean that we're not happy for you. We want to see you get everything that you've always wanted. We just want to make sure that you understand what you're getting yourself into. Oh, so just because you became parents, suddenly you guys get to have a say about who can become a good or bad parent? I don't think we have a say in that at all. What we do have knowledge about is how difficult children can be. They will point out things to you that you might hate, or they'll do things that upset you. You need to have patience to deal with that. I've done enough research to know what I'm getting myself into. Just because you do research, it does not mean that you understand what it's like. You know what? I do not want you in my sight until you apologize. I'm doing exactly what I want, and you cannot stop me. Get out of my house. I'm so sorry for hurting you, Tess, but please just think about our concerns too. Get out, now. Jake and I walked out of Tess's house in a daze of confusion. I was happy for her. I really was, but at the same time I had witnessed firsthand how volatile she could be. There were times when she would revert back to her old self out of the blue, only because I would be able to get things that she had always wanted, like a designer bag or even concert tickets. If I didn't have a child of my own, I wouldn't have batted an eyelid at any of my concerns, but I know just how much of a handful they are. They require constant care, and you always have to put them first no matter how you feel. That was something I knew that Tess struggled with, clearly. I didn't want her to hurt a child in any way, but I knew that it would be inevitable. A few days after we left Tess's place, Jake and I decided that it would be best for us to still be in Tess's good graces, only because we would want to be involved in the child's life. So we went over to Tess's place the following weekend to make amends. What do you two want? Hi, Tess. How are you? Why do you care? Oh, wait. Is that too angry for you? We came here to simply apologize. We really did not mean to hurt your feelings. Do you know what it feels like to have your own family tell you that you're incapable of doing the one thing you've wanted to do all your life? I can't imagine it being nice. Well, I lived through it, and I can tell you that it was definitely not nice. We're sorry, Tess. In our minds, we were simply expressing our concerns, but we never stopped to think about how you would feel. Please don't cut contact with us. We want to be with you as you enter a new phase in your life. And you won't bring up my shortcomings and throw them in my face again? Absolutely not. Okay then, come on in. I have some big news for the two of you. Is this going to be a pattern every time we come over? You have some big news for us, and honestly, that sounds very nice. Oh, I don't know about next time, but this is an update to the news that I gave you last time. Oh, what is it? I'll have a foster child moving in with me this Monday. What? That's great. Is it a boy or a girl? It is a girl, and her name is Allison. That's a lovely name. How old is she? Thankfully, she's old enough for me to not be kept up all night. She's 12 years old, and she'll be staying with me for a year. That's really nice. I can't wait to meet her. Me too. Do you think I need to buy some things for her? Well, how about I drop by this weekend and we can refurnish your extra bedroom for Allison? Really? You'd help me like that? Well, we did make you feel really bad last time, and this is the least we could do to help you out. Thanks, guys. I was nervous about the big change in Tess's life, but I was sure that I was going to be a part of whatever was going to happen. I was ready to do whatever I needed in order to make sure that the kid would not be harmed by Tess in any capacity. Jake and I spent the weekend helping Tess redecorate her spare room for Allison, and that Monday we finally got to meet Allison. Allison was a lovely girl, and she seemed very well-mannered. While talking to her, we happened to learn that both of us had the same favorite author and favorite series. We spoke for a long time, and I knew that we had formed a pretty good connection. So it came as no surprise that Tess would often drop Allison over at my place for me to babysit her. I enjoyed spending time with her, and she almost always looked very happy. That was until one day when Jake and I went over to Tess's place to have dinner with her, and I saw Allison looking like she had been crying. "Hi, Allison." "Hey, Aunt Nicole. Why do you look so sad?" "It's nothing. Oh, come on. You can share anything you want with me. I promise my lips are sealed." "I need you to make that promise on something that you care about a lot." "Oh, okay then. I promise, Jake, that I won't tell a soul about whatever it is that you will tell me right now." "That's a big person to make a promise on." "Then you can tell that I'm very serious about it." "Okay, well, just before you and Uncle Jake came over, Mom and I got into a huge fight." "Why is that?" "I didn't put away my cereal bowl and Mom started yelling at me." "Why would she yell at you for something as small as that?" "I don't know. She always does that." "That's not right. I'm not trying to put any blame on you, but I have to ask if you have repeatedly done these small things. Maybe she's getting angry because she's constantly telling you to do the same thing. I mean, I don't agree with that mentality, but that could reason away her anger." "Not really. She's been this way since day one. I remember on most days to do these things, but sometimes she makes me do another thing in the middle and then yells at me because I didn't clean up my previous task. And if I don't immediately do her second task, she gets mad then. So it's an unwinnable position that she's put you into. Why haven't you told Jake or me anything?" "Mom told me very strictly not to tell you guys anything. I'm very scared of her. But I'm only telling you because you promised not to say anything." "You're right. I won't say anything. But I do want to help you in any way that I can. Do you mind if I start collecting evidence?" "I don't want to go back into the system. You and Uncle Jake are the nicest people I've ever met, and I don't want to lose that. I don't mind living with Mom if that means I get to meet you both." "I won't let go of you. Don't worry. Could you do me a favor and just trust me, sweetie? I'll make sure that you have a better life." "Okay." I knew it. I knew that Tess was not being a good mother. I had never once heard a good word about Allison from Tess. And I knew for a fact that she must have been doing something wrong. Allison scurried away after our conversation so Tess wouldn't see us and get suspicious. I tried my best to keep my composure around Tess for the rest of the evening, and when Jake and I got back home, I filled him in on what Allison told me. Jake was just as upset as I was, so I told him my plan to expose Tess to CPS and to adopt Allison. I knew that Jake would be on board with the first half of my plan. It was the second half that I was worried about. But Jake readily accepted my entire plan. He had a soft spot for Allison as well. After that, I had Allison record all her conversations with Tess and send them to me. I also instructed her to delete all evidence after she sent it to me. I did not know if Tess snooped through Allison's phone, but I wasn't taking any chances. Over the next 2 months, I collected a large amount of evidence against Tess. I received videos and audio recordings almost every day. Tess was essentially out of control. She would yell at Allison for the tiniest things. I mean, like if she saw a novel out of place, she would begin yelling at Allison and would tell her that she was a waste of space. Sometimes in her anger, she would withhold meals from Allison, leaving her to starve until the next meal. She would make Allison scrub the house clean every day and would get mad if Allison's grades dropped because of it. I was horrified, but I figured that I could wait another month before taking my evidence to CPS. I wanted to have an ironclad case against Tess. In the third month since I enacted my plan, Tess called Jake and me over to celebrate her birthday. Jake and I found a babysitter for our son because he tended to get cranky among crowds. When we got to Nicole's, I didn't get to meet Nicole until half an hour later. "Happy birthday! How's the birthday girl feeling?" "I'm doing great. I'm honestly just happy that everyone I love is here to celebrate this day with me." "Speaking of everyone you love, where's Allison? I don't see her around here." "Ah, well, she's probably somewhere around here." "Okay, well, I just heard some screams coming from the basement." "Why were you in my basement? Were you snooping?" "What? No, I went downstairs because I heard the screams." "You're insane for snooping in my house. That is a gross invasion of my privacy." "Why are you getting so defensive? Are you hiding something gross?" "Oh my God, is Allison in the basement?" "Ugh, yeah. Look, she was being a pain in the butt and I did not want her to ruin my party." "Tess, you can't be serious. She's a child. Let her out now." "You can do that. If she gets out, she'll throw a huge tantrum, and I do not want to be a part of that." "Tess, you should not have locked her in there in the first place. Look, why don't you just give me the key? I'll at least get her out of there and I'll take her to the park. That way you can get the party you always wanted." "No way. You can't choose that girl over me. I want you here at my birthday party." "Tess, give me the key. Let me get her away from here, please. You're going to traumatize her." "Listen, you either listen to me and mind your business, or you can get out and never come here. You have no right to tell me how to parent Allison. You're practically some stranger to her, nothing more. In the same way that you never wanted me to interfere in your parenting, I want you to do the same. Got it?" I couldn't believe what I was hearing. It took me a few seconds to comprehend how Tess had just completely brushed off my concerns and showed no remorse for locking Allison in the basement. Before I knew it, I felt rage filling up my veins. I quickly found Jake and asked him to cover for me while I ran out for a bit. Jake didn't question me because he knew that something big must have happened. I got in my car and quickly called Child Protective Services. There were 2 CPS workers at Tess's doorstep about an hour later. When they arrived, I gave them a copy of the file that I had collected on Tess's poor parenting and let them walk into Tess's home. Seeing those 2 strangers in her home, Tess rushed towards me and asked who they were. The 2 CPS workers rushed towards the basement. "Who are these people, Nicole?" "It's Child Protective Services." "Why is CPS here?" "I've had enough of your bad parenting." "Who do you think you are to tell me that?" "What's going on here?" "Tess locked Allison in the basement because she thought that Allison was being a bother." "What?" "Don't act like you guys don't do that to your kids. You don't have a higher moral ground than me." "I can guarantee you that we have never once treated our children this way. This is essentially torture. Why would you do that?" "Who cares about that? Your stupid wife violated my privacy. I'm going to suffer because of her. You think CPS would storm into your house this way because of only one isolated incident? I've been meticulously collecting evidence, and I'm going to make sure that your ability to be a foster parent gets removed." "How dare you? Do you think this is what is best for Allison?" "Of course, because Jake and I are going to adopt her. She deserves better than this." "Oh my God. Is this what this is all about?" "What are you talking about?" "You are trying to steal my child. You already have 2 children. If you want more, you can create more. Why are you destroying my only dream?" You are clearly not capable of handling your dream in the right way. We warned you before you became a foster parent. You don't realize how even the minutest of your reactions can have the biggest of impacts on a child. You're unhinged, and you need to be put in your place. You are going to ruin my life. If that's what it will take for you to learn to be a better person, then you should deal with it. Before Tess could yell anymore, the CPS workers approached me, and so did Allison. She had tears running down her face as she ran towards me and gave me the biggest hug. I held her close to me and left Nicole's house. After a brief conversation with CPS workers, I was granted temporary custody of Allison until the adoption papers went through. Allison and I left for home. What happened next was told to me by Jake when he got back home. The CPS workers went back in and had a word with Nicole. They told her that what she had done today was a gross violation of Allison's rights, not to mention she had severely neglected Allison. She was charged with as much and was told that she would soon receive a summons to court to decide what her punishment would be. Tess had a breakdown and would not stop blaming me for ruining her life. But Jake was not going to stand for that. He told her that she was the reason for everything that was happening. Tess did not take that lightly, and she kept yelling at him for even getting married to me. After that, everyone slowly left the party. Tess sent me a bunch of nasty texts about ruining her birthday. I ignored her because my sole focus was on making sure that she was doing okay. Thankfully, Allison calmed down after we got to my place. I made her a sandwich, which she devoured, and she promptly fell asleep. All that crying and screaming must have tired her out. A few weeks later, I was able to legally adopt Allison, and I was super happy that I got to save her from Tess's nasty hands. As for Tess, she was served with papers to appear in court about a week after her birthday. She appeared before court, and after a few weeks of reviewing the case, the judge declared that not only had she grossly neglected Allison, but she had also endangered her. He ordered her to pay a fine of $5,000 and ruled that she was unfit to be a foster mother ever again. She would have gone to jail, but she argued that she had mental issues that resulted in her being a poor mother. Needless to say, all of Tess's friends and family left her when they found out what she had done to Allison. Tess kept trying to call me and kept texting me to let me know that I was a horrible person for stealing her life's dream from her. Seeing Tess's name pop up on my phone so often made my blood boil, so I did what was best for me and blocked her. I made sure to change Allison's school so Tess could not reach out to her. And for the next few months, I made sure to go with Allison wherever she went because I was worried that Tess would try to corner her. Thankfully, Tess moved away and stopped contacting either Jake or me. We were just glad that we did not have to deal with Tess anymore. Things are going well with us, and Allison is living happily with us. She and my son have been getting along really well, and nothing brings me more joy than to see the both of them interact. Thank you for listening.